this movie sucks. If Jason still haunts you, you're not alone. We watched Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. We watched it so you don't have to. So you know what that means? DJ, play that theme song.
Horror, so bad and scary. Splitting up is never okay. Plot, who needs it? Don't turn on the lights. Cars don't ever start, but that's alright. Running upstairs instead of out the door. Good acting, what do we need that for? Horrible horror, so bad and scary. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Horrible Horror, the podcast where we watch the worst of the worst in horror movies. Movies so bad they're scary. I'm your host, Marshall Hampton. With me is my co-host, my best friend, Mr. Aaron Southworth.
Hey, how's it going, Marshall?
It's going all right. Today is Saturday the 14th. So if you follow us on Facebook, you know what the movie is. But if not, and the intro should do it. But in honor of Friday the 13th, we did Friday the 13th,
Part 5.
Part V.
Yes, Part V.
A New Beginning.
Yes.
I will always remember Gilbert Gottfried, USA's Up All Night. Friday the 13th, Part V. Followed by Friday the 13th, Part V.
Yes, I liked Up All Night with Gilbert Gottfried. That was good.
Yeah.
And who was the other?
It was some blonde chick.
The
or something.
busty girl. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't remember
I
her
liked
name.
her too, but if anybody remembers, please refresh our memories because I don't remember. She'd go, USA, Up All Night.
Yep.
And she just would wear real low-cut stuff with her big boobies.
Yep.
And, you know, when you're 12, 11 years old, you're just like, ugh.
I remember seeing that 1992, 93, staying
Yeah,
up to like
yeah.
2 in the morning watching these
Yeah.
movies. So before we get started with the movie, I do want to give a shout out to John Kerr. John Kerr, he sent us some fan mail, some suggestions through through the website. I was in correspondence with him. I'm not going to give away what he suggested because we were actually already those movies were actually on our radar, and I kind of have them scheduled for a certain event down the road. So, but I do want to say thank you to John Kerr for reaching out and just interacting and listening to the show. So, anybody else, like I said, feel free, drop us lines.
Yes, thank you very much. So anything good, bad, ugly, please let us know because we like it. We'll always give you a shout out.
Yep. Jumping in Friday 13th part.
V.
Yeah, technically the movie just called Friday 13th, A New Beginning. The part V isn't actually on the official poster or even the credits.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, so it's released March 22nd, 1985 with a runtime of 92 minutes. I found it on Amazon. I'm not sure. I won't lie. I did not look for any other
Yeah, I mean,
places where
this
you
wasn't
get
hard to find.
No.
I found it on iTunes. I found it on Microsoft. Even YouTube had it, but you had to pay for it. So I guess there's a subscription base.
Okay.
You subscribe to.
Yeah,
I guess
this
it's Paramount.
is not one
Yeah.
that should not be hard to find at all.
Right. That's pretty common. I mean, all the Friday 13th movies, for the most part, now that they're all under one umbrella,
Yeah.
are pretty easy to find.
It was written by Martin Kitrosser and David Cohen, directed by Danny Steinman. The cast, nobody really noticeable. Most of them were just one hit. They were the two most recognizable people in the movie, or at least that from my research that did the most after this is Shavar Ross, who plays the kid Reggie in this movie.
Reggie the Reckless.
He was the Different Strokes kid. He was on Different Strokes. He also was on Family Matters, Growing Pains, Magnum PI. He was. I found this interesting.
A good 80s, 90s actor.
Yeah,
Like character.
he was on the pilot episode of MacGyver,
Huh.
where he played Reggie. And he was also in the 80s, like the Little Rascals, where he was Buckwheat.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then the only other person of any real renown, and I'm not even saying renown, but just
Notice.
who had a career as a character actor, is Miguel A. Nunez, who plays a character by the name of Demon, which is a ridiculous name, but he basically it's Reggie's brother. and we'll get to him in the movie. But he has 104 credits to his name.
Yeah, he's definitely recognizable in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I recognize him right away.
His list of just projects is a real hodgepodge of some cool things and then some of the most like notorious and famously bad things. It's hilarious. Like he did Joey, the Friends spinoff television show.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Andy Richter controls the universe. Then you get some shit, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, which was notoriously bad.
Hey, man. I didn't like that movie. Okay, I can't defend it.
Joanna Man.
Oh, shit. He is Joanna Man, isn't he?
I don't know if he's Joanna Man, but he was in Joanna Man. Scooby-Doo, Nutty Professor 2, one that we are probably going to be doing later, a few months from now, Leprechaun 4 in space.
He's not in the hood. He's in space.
Nope.
Huh? Okay.
Slam Dunk Ernest. Another one of the most famous bad movies, the Street Fighter movie.
Oh, shit. Who is he in Street
He was
Fighter?
DJ, the Jamaican kickboxer guy.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Lewis and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. He was in Martin, Hang with Mr. Cooper, Fresh Prince, and then he did Tour of Duty, which is a great military Vietnam show. I remember watching that with my dad as a kid. It was a good show. Jumpin' Jack Flash with Whoopi Goldberg, and then The Return of the Living Dead. So those are really your only two people in this movie that really did anything outside of this.
And they're brothers in this movie.
Yeah, and they played brothers. All right, so moving on to the movie. This movie just drops you right in. Like, there's no opening credits. It's just boom, and you're following a guy in a yellow rain slicker walking through a forest
With
during a
galoshes,
thunderstorm,
yeah.
galoshes, and he's in search of Jason's grave. And he finds the grave, and we find out it's Tommy Jarvis, which played by Corey Feldman from Part 4.
So it's Corey Feldman in his second Friday 13th film.
Yeah, he does a little cameo in the beginning of this.
So he's walking through the woods and he stumbles across a grave that says, like, it's a chunk of wood with the word
Jason Voorhees on it.
scrawled on it.
Like in
Jason
white
Voorhees.
paint.
It looks like shit.
To me, it looks like the grave. To me, looks like somebody who buried their pet in the backyard.
Right. Like it should say sprinkles.
Yeah,
You know?
like it's just a little mound of dirt with like a ring of rocks around it, with a wooden board with white paint on it.
Right. Like, here lies Fluffy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, what? So anyway, Tommy gets to the grave. He's standing there. He's looking down the grave, and these two random college dudes with shovels show up.
When these guys show up, these are the worst and most ridiculous grave robbers I think I've ever seen in my life, because they come running out of the woods and they are rip-roaring, screaming and howling, "Woohoo!
Yeah.
Let's go, boy!"
Yeah.
Ow!
they I don't even know if, like I said, I don't even know if they're grave robbers or what they're trying to rob, but the whole point is I think they just want to
They
want
want
to see the myth, the legend that is Jason Voorhees. I don't know if they're planning to rob him. They just want to see the body. I
But
guess,
they are
is what it
jacked
is.
up on coke and meth and speed,
Yeah,
because they
'cause-
have so much energy. They're just go faster, dig faster.
Yeah.
Come on, boy.
So,
Woohoo!
Tommy-
I'm not exaggerating. That's exactly what they're doing.
Oh no, there's no. I'm not arguing
Yeah.
that. That's exactly what they're doing. They're hooting, hollering, yee-hawing. Tommy runs off to hide in the bushes while these two guys start digging up Jason. Go all
This
hyped
super
up and
shallow
coke.
grave.
Yeah, it's the grave is like less like the top when they remove some dirt.
It's about 6 inches deep.
It's not even 6 inches deep. I mean, there's barely like 3 or 4 inches of dirt from the top of the wooden coffin he's buried in. So the grave itself is probably like 2 feet deep or 3 feet. I mean, it's barely.
So they strike, pay dirt, if
Yeah.
you will, and open up the grave
They open up the casket, and inside is a dead Jason
with the mask.
with the mask, and he's got worms crawling out of the eyes holes of the mask and worms all over him.
And the guys get quiet and they kneel down next to it, like, wow.
Yeah, look at that. We found him. It's like they found the Ark of the Covenant or
Yeah.
something like that. And then just out of the blue, Jason stabs one of the boys in the stomach with a machete he was happened to be buried with.
And
So he's buried with his mask and a machete.
and then he eyeballs the other one with like a big
Awl or something.
Yeah.
He stabs another one in like the neck with
like a big awl.
it's like an awl or a pick or something.
Yeah.
It's like a
long-
skinny little pike with like a giant ball on the end of it.
It's a weird device to
Yeah,
have with
really
you.
weird.
Yeah.
So they're dead. Jason stands up, lightning's flashing. He looks right at Tommy, pulls the machete out of the guy's stomach, starts walking up to Tommy, who's hiding in the bushes.
Tommy's not moving. He's
No,
he's stricken with fear.
Yeah, and he's making the weirdest noises. It almost sounds like it almost sounds like he's getting off or something like that. It's
Ooh.
no, I'm just the sound effects in this are so weird. It's I don't know, they don't sound right. So anyway, Jason gets up to him, he raises the machete, and he's about to swing it down, killing Tommy, when boom, cut to college-age Tommy waking up in the back of a transport van for mental patients. So all the dream. Now, before I go, I do want to say that to me, I don't know how you feel about this, but the mask Jason's wearing in that opening dream sequence, to me, it looks utterly ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you have problems, but to me, it just seemed way too big for his head. I mean, it makes his head look like a balloon or like a caricature. And I don't know. I've just seen scarier versions of the mask in other versions of the movie.
It didn't stick out to me.
It
you
didn't
know,
make-
I didn't really notice. But at the same time, my wife and her friends were in the other room having brunch and laughing and talking, and I was kind of chit chatting too. So, you know, I might have lost it there.
But yeah, it's to me, it just looked way too big for his head. It looked inflated. So I do notice that the guy in the passenger seat of the transport van, not the driver, but I guess he's an orderly or something like that from the hospital, and he's flipping through, he's looking at Nudie Mag.
He's awesome. He's probably one of my favorite characters in this whole movie.
And now you finally get the opening credits roll through this. Tommy gets dropped off at the Pinehurst Youth Development Center for basically where troubled youth go to get ready to be released back into society. So it's a halfway house for juveniles. And even though all the juveniles are like college age.
Yeah, even these are quote unquote juveniles.
Yeah.
Wow, these are some very developed juveniles.
Exactly.
Whoa.
So we meet Pam, the assistant director of the center. She takes time to go meet Dr. Matt Leonard, who's the head of the center, who's in charge of everything. They talk for a while, blah, blah, blah.
And I gotta say, Pam and Dr. Leonard, they're a couple of 1-2 80s cutie pies.
Yeah.
I gotta say, they are good looking 80s people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like if you were to ask a lady in 1985 who's a hunk, you know, and then you could show this dude, they'd be like, ooh, yeah, you know, and then she's kind of, you know,
she's got the 80s
the
hot.
crazy blonde hair, kind of big, and you know, pants up to her goddamn ribs, and you know, like.
Yeah.
They are 80s hot, and
Yeah.
they look like a cute, you know, a little cute couple.
Yeah, there's no reference to the movie that they're actually a couple
Yeah.
at all, but yeah, they're good looking people. So eventually, nothing happens.
But it's funny just to comment 80s 80s
hot.
good looking.
Yeah.
You know, 80s good looking.
It's weird. If you're good looking, you're good looking. But yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy goes up to his new room and he unpacks. He puts a pocket knife under his mattress, and he goes to the closet to hang up stuff. And then Reggie the Reckless tries to scare him with a fucking rubber
with a
spider on
big
his
spook.
string.
I mean, yeah, it's a good little, you know, that would get somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He opens the door, and all of a sudden, this big spider comes out of nowhere. I mean,
It's just
it
dangling
could
on a
be
string.
anything.
Yeah.
It could be a sandwich, and it came out of nowhere. I'd still probably jump.
Yeah, just because something
Yeah.
drops down in front of you.
So,
So they chit chat, they talk. We learn that Tommy makes a bunch, like all these latex monster masks that he's putting on back.
and these are movie
makes
quality
them. Yeah,
masks. They're really good.
like these are the ones you buy in like a really high end.
but like, yeah, expensive ones.
they're like the ones you see at Giant Brock's behind the counter.
right.
Yeah.
These are your $300 masks.
Yeah. Which makes me like, there's no way this guy makes these on his own. Like he doesn't have the clay, the mold, the latex.
You
to
don't
make
know
this
what
stuff.
kind of arts and crafts they're doing at the mental institution.
Yeah, I
Marshall.
guess apparently. But from what I've seen on Face Off, there's no way Tommy's making these in like his bedroom. So anyway, so we cut to a police car coming down the road, sirens roaring. The rest of the teens at the camp show up to see what's happening. Two of the camp kids get out of the backseat of the cop car. They were picked up for having sex on the neighbor's property.
And you know they're just classic 80s like super horny kids.
Yeah, they're
who
the hornball kids.
Can't keep their hands off each other.
So many of the characters in this movie are just pointless.
Yeah.
They're pure cannon fodder.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all it is.
I mean,
There's no personality. to them.
just body count
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
So on cue, the hillbilly rednecks, Ethel and her son Junior, come riding up on an old dirt bike motorcycle.
And it's their property that they're complaining about. And
Yeah.
this lady is awesome.
Really,
Okay?
I get so tired of her because it's so over the top.
And that's why
so-
it's awesome. Because this actress has the weirdest dialogue to work with, but man, she hams up every line.
Yeah.
She's just off the charts, redneck, like
She
hillbilly,
curses like a sailor. I mean,
Oh.
every other word out of her mouth is fuck, shit, motherfucker. I mean,
dildo, you know.
she calls her. I was gonna come to that later, but she calls her own son a giant dildo,
Which I love.
at some point later in the movie.
But she's just such a ham.
Yeah.
And really just cranks it out of the park where I'm just like, I can't take my eyes off her. I love anytime she's on screen, I'm just like, I have to watch what she's doing.
Oh boy. See, I just wanted to mute it because she was too much.
Oh, I loved it.
So she rants and raves about how much she hates the youth center or this,
Sheriff,
and-
all these goddamn nutballs are fucking on my property.
Yep.
Like just really hamming it up.
Yeah, and she wants the sheriff to shut it down. And her idiot son Junior is just cheering her on the background, like repeating every word she says.
And-
Like, right on, Mom,
And
you
he's,
tell her, Mom.
he's like this
blah, blah,
big
blah.
boy, like mongoloid retard.
Junior reminds me of, like, I might have the wrong one, but like Dennis Quaid or the crazy Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid then. Like, I don't know why, but like his little leather motorcycle hat and he's kind of chubby face. Like, he reminds me of the crazy Quaid.
Specifically, in the vacation, like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, when he comes over and he's emptying the RV and goes, "Merry Christmas, shitter was full." I love that scene. Anyway,
It's like- so I was thinking like the crazy, like I don't know, maybe the crazy one from
he's Eddie from
Independence Day too.
Oh, he's pretty much the same character.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Ethel and her son eventually ride off. They leave. Now, this cuts to Joey, the fat and mentally slow.
Yeah, you wouldn't
guy.
say he's mentally retarded.
He's not really retarded. He's not quite autistic. He's just
He's
a little off.
socially slow. Yeah, I'm like he's very developmentally delayed, if you will.
Slow.
Yeah.
So he comes out of the house the house and he's eating all these candy bars. He's got like
Chocolate
he's
on
eating
his-
one. He's got one in each of his hoodie pockets. He's got another one tucked into the
He's got
zipper.
chocolate on his lips, chocolate
Yeah.
on his hands.
So they really was like, this guy's fat and eats chocolate. He's a slob. Like, what more can we do to make really hammer that home?
Right.
So anyway, he walks up to Violet and one of the other girls who are doing laundry, and he's like, "Hey, I want to help with the laundry. I'm really good at laundry." And he goes to pick up, and he gets chocolate all over the white
All over
sheets.
the white sheet. And
They're
they're
like, "Oh,
Joey,
Joey, get out of here! You're just, blah blah
You're
blah.
ruining everything, Joey.
Yeah. So they chase him off, and then he goes to go find Vic,
Ugh.
who's chopping wood, and Vic is just the most. It's like you're angry at everything.
80s
just-
tough guy.
80s
He's
tough,
got
yeah.
he's got a sleeveless gray shirt on, a spike band around his bicep.
It looks like a
Like-
dog collar,
like a dog-
like a spiked dog collar
Yeah,
around
and
his arm.
he's chopping the shit out of this wood.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
He's just got an axe and he's wailing on a huge chunk of wood. Basically, he doesn't look like he's trying to chop wood for anything else, just to be chopping on some wood.
Yeah, like he just wants to hit something.
He's
like
not
this.
splitting wood.
No.
He's not doing anything like that.
I thought the same thing. Like, what is the purpose of this chopping the wood the way it is? Like,
It's
I
a
don't-
really thick log,
Yeah.
and he's just chopping away at it.
yeah.
you
It's
know?
like he just like this is him taking out aggression or something like
yeah,
that. Just
and
hitting.
he's chopping wood.
Or this
and-
is his workout.
yeah. Okay, actually, it's a good workout.
Yeah, it is a good workout.
So Joey comes stumbling up.
Yeah, Joey's like, "Hey, Vic, that looks like fun. I've never chopped wood before." He's like, "I like it here," and blah 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 blah. He's granted on. Vic's like, "Shut up!
He's like, "I hate it here.
I hate it here. I don't want anything to do with you. Leave me alone." And
He
like,
shouts
"Here."
out, "Leave me alone!"
Yeah. He's like, "All right, Vic, well, here, how about a candy bar? Don't tell me I got to eat." And Vic's like, "I don't want it." And he's like, "Fine." And he puts the candy bar on the log.
Where he's
And
chopping.
where he's chopping. And he's like, "Fine, just have it for later." And then Vic's like, "Rah!" And he cuts it in half.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey's like, "Well, fine, Vic, if that's the way you think about it, then just forget it."
But
I think that's.
But I
think you're-
really think you're out of line.
Yeah.
Like, that's really mild.
Yeah.
Probably the most mild thing you could say to someone if you're offended or upset.
Yeah. So you're out of line. But
And as soon as Joey turns his back,
Vic is in a blind rage, and he just like, "Rah!" and he just hacks into Joey with the axe repeatedly, just hack, and
for like no reason.
and the girls are screaming, and then we cut to an ambulance pulling up, and Vic's in the back of the sheriff's car. The two paramedics go to pick up the body, and when they pull the bloody sheet back, we see Joey's hacked up body.
His
and it
arm
has
is
one of
cut
his
arm.
arm has been hacked off, and it's placed on his back. And it's actually a pretty decent effect. It looks pretty gruesome.
Yeah. It looks pretty gnarly.
So they did a good job with that effect.
Yeah.
Um,
And they pan up to one of the paramedics,
Roy Burns,
who looks a lot like Bill Bixby.
I don't know who that-
He was the Bruce Banner in actually they called him David Banner in the 1980s version because Bruce sounded a little too gay. So they called him David Banner on the TV show.
All right.
Not Lou Ferrigno, but anyway.
Okay.
He looked a lot like him, I thought.
okay.
At first I thought it was
I
Bill
don't-
Bixby, but it's not.
Yeah. No, but they really make a big deal of showing Roy's reaction to seeing the body.
He's really like
and he's really affected by it.
stunned and just kind of
Yeah.
And they have a slow-mo kind of shot on him and you're like, okay, something's going on with Roy.
Yeah, they really hammer that fact home. So the two guys, so after they load the body, they move on. Now we cut to two guys straight out of Grease.
Exactly. I thought the same.
I'm like, did we just
Exact
go back
thing.
into like 1950s? Because this is supposed to be 1984, 85. Now these guys are rolling up like Grease Lightning style.
Yes, leather jackets, leather
bike.
hats.
They look like James Dean type.
tight blue jeans,
White shirts. Underneath.
white shirts, Chucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's straight up go Grease Lightning.
Oh my god.
So they're stranded along the road because their beaten up cars died down. And one of them goes out to take a shit while basically chastising the other one, saying he's used this fix the car, I'm going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. Trying to be all tough. And so he goes off to take a shit. That leaves the other guy, he's working underneath the hood, trying to figure it out. You see a hand light a road flare. And the greaser working on the car turns around and thinks it's his buddy. He's like, hey, stop that. What are you doing?
The
Stop
lights are real
throwing-"
bright. He can't really tell,
Yeah.
make out who it is until it's too late.
And the mystery person just shoves the flare into the greaser's mouth, which I thought was kind of cool.
yeah, it's
So he's dead. He kills that guy. The other greaser comes back from taking his dump. He gets in the driver's seat, and you see the body of the guy
it looks like he might be mistaken for working on the
yeah.
car. So
Yeah, if you're not paying attention, or just
and he
quit.
gets in the car, but he's going rat-tat-doo, rat-tat-doo,
he-
bop, bop, bop,
yeah,
boop,
he's
bop,
like,
bop,
you
doo,
better
boo.
fix the car. I'm gonna kill you. Boppity, bop,
Yeah,
back,
and
girl,
he says fuck about 20 times.
in like 20 seconds.
And
yeah,
there's a saying I think in comedy or even when you go on stage and you're freestyle, you're getting up in front of the crowd and you're talking. Don't break the fuck meter because
Yeah.
that kind of shows that you lose the impact of the word. And
it's like three, or it's like the rules of three.
It's kind of, it's like it shows that you're nervous. And this guy says fuck. I'm not. It's probably a 30-second scene. He probably says it 12 times.
Yeah, that's a lot. So he gets in the car and he's trying to start it. And it takes several tries, but it does finally start. And as soon as it starts, greaser number 2 gets grabbed. Excuse me. Gets grabbed from behind by someone in the backseat. The killer slits greaser 2's throat with a machete. Blackout. Fade in on Tommy, all sweaty, lying in bed, reliving the ending events from part 4. He's hearing the voice. He's like, "Die, die, die!" Of him,
The Corey Feldman scene.
The Corey Feldman where he's hacking.
If anyone
Jason.
hasn't seen it, at the end of number 4,
Yeah,
spoiler.
spoilers.
So if you haven't seen it,
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, stop now and go watch it.
right?
No,
so
no, just-
at the end of number 4, Corey Feldman goes ape shit on Jason, stabbing him over and over and over, or hacking him. I
Hacking
should
him with,
say,
like, a
it.
machete, I
Yeah, he's
believe.
just saying, "Die, die, die." It's pretty intense. Scene.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, and he gets a pop some meds, which instantly causes, like, before he even swallows them, as soon as they're in the mouth,
As soon as
the
they
voices
touch the
stop.
lip, yeah, I don't know what he's taking.
Yeah, it just works that fast. But as soon as he looks up, he sees Jason in the mirror, and of course, when he spins around, he's gone. This old diamond gem of a.
yeah, he's seeing things, he's hallucinating, he's hearing voices. He's pretty fucked up.
I know. It's just God. They go to that. They go to that well so many times in these movies.
Sure. Classic.
So downstairs, everyone's sitting around getting ready for breakfast. other than Violet, I have no idea at this point what the other names of these kids are. Violet's the music chick with the blonde and black hair, who's always listening to her
Crimped,
headphones.
yeah.
Basically, almost every one of her lines is, huh? What? Because she's listening to her headphones so loud. That's almost her entire dialogue for this entire movie. She has like one or two lines that aren't that.
You're right. It's funny because I didn't even think about it, but you're right. What?
Huh? So Tommy shows up and Matt asks him to go get Eddie for breakfast. So, okay, we have an Eddie. And he turns to leave, and then Eddie hops out from behind the open doorway wearing one of Tommy's masks to scare him. Tommy basically flips the fuck out and just like does like the fireman carry throw, breaking over like a wooden table and beats the shit out of
love
Eddie.
this. I mean, because the guy jumps out and Tommy's scared, and he's like, "What? You don't have a sense of humor?" And he's kind of like poking him in the chest.
Yeah.
And Tommy does the slickest, like, standing fireman I've seen.
Yeah, it's
and he just
good.
throws him. I'm just like, damn! Smashes through a table, gets in the mount position, and
just
wham,
wails
wham,
on
wham, wham. I mean, I'm like, God damn, he
Yeah,
really
it's
went to
pretty
town
brutal.
on him.
Eventually, it's broken up, and we cut to Ethel cutting the head off of a chicken while Junior is eating stew in the background.
Mind you, this is Ethel cutting this chicken's head off with a giant,
Meat cleaver.
huge meat cleaver.
insanely
And she goes,
big.
hi-ya!
Yeah, that's what
You
she
know,
does.
and that's what she's doing to Chop. She's basically turned into Kung Fu, whatever.
Kung Fu Ethel.
Kung Fu Ethel. She's going, hi-ya!
Yep.
Pow.
And this is where she calls her son a big dildo. And I just love the fact that Junior is eating his slop. She calls it slop all the time. Out of a wooden bowl with a wooden spoon.
It's a big bowl, and it's literally
I'm
looks like
what time are we stuck in? Like, who's still using wooden utensils?
now. If somebody hasn't seen this, this is a dilapidated shack of a house, so you got to cut them some slack, Marshall.
Still, I mean, even most people
It's
aren't using wooden utensils in a wooden bowl.
man, they're simple country folk.
And yeah, you're right. Anyway,
know.
some vagabond shows up, and I guess this is the most pointless
This
character.
is so
he
weird.
has no point in this movie. Like, unless there's some deleted scenes of this guy later, there's no reason for this guy to be in the movie.
And I was
at
actually
all.
kind of interested in what this guy's story was.
Yeah.
He shows up on the porch, knocks on the door, and she's got a gun. And, she's like,
What the fuck you
she's
want?
like, whoa, what the fuck do you want? And she's like, he's so polite and
He
nice.
is.
He's like, ma'am, I just haven't eaten in 2 days, and I sure would like to,
If there's any work, basically work for food. Like,
if
you
there's
need
any
to-
work available, I sure would like to, get a little something to eat in exchange for work. And she's like, well, you want to do some work? Go clean the shit out of the chicken coop. And
Yeah, pretty much.
after that, I'll fill your belly. And
He's
he
like,
goes,
very well, man.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And
he
I'm
goes,
like, this guy's awesome.
yeah, I'm like, this guy's
in-
gonna have a backstory or something. But
there's something interesting about this
Yeah.
guy. Like, I was actually kind of intrigued. How is he going to tie in? What's going on with them? He shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He hasn't eaten for 2 days. So what's his story? Why is he? Yeah, what's going on?
and you only see him one other time in the movie. That's it. He's got 2 scenes in this entire movie.
And it's funny because at first I thought, oh, maybe it's a love interest for Ethel.
Yeah.
But then of course she comes back in, puts down the gun, and goes, "That's one of the ugliest goddamn men I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, never mind."
He's not an ugly man, but yeah.
No, he's just a normal looking dude.
He's a little dirty, but whatever.
He's been obviously hasn't eaten in 2 days. He's kind of having a hard couple days. Yeah.
So we jump to the cops now at the murder scene of the 2 greasers. And again, they make a big deal to make us know that Roy, the paramedic, is there again. And he's loading up the bodies, and they really want you to know that Roy's there. Like, this is a big deal. So, and now we get what I call a super random scene. And it's so many of these characters so pointless. Like, it's just, this movie sucks. Like, there's no point
Yeah.
to so much that happens. So we cut to Billy, who was the orderly
Who's reading the nudie,
mags
magazines.
at the beginning of the movie.
One of my favorite characters.
and he's
And this is one of my favorite scenes. He drives up to this diner.
this roadside diner,
And he's got a old muscle car,
Yeah.
and he does a fucking sweet
Donut,
donut.
yeah.
Like a really well executed donut. And my first thought is he's just honking his horn and yelling, "Come on, baby, let's go!" And I'm like, this is one coked up asshole.
yeah,
And sure enough,
which is funny.
he
because,
breaks
yeah,
out a whole bunch of coke.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, I'm right.
yeah. So yeah, he's like, Lana, let's go. And Lana's the waitress who works there, and she's like
Closing.
pops out,
She's closing down the
I have
diner.
to be out there. I gotta close up. Blah blah blah. So she goes to the bathroom, The change goes, and she just rips her shirt open, flashing her tits, saying,
It's showtime!
And then out in the car, this is where Billy just starts doing coke and just snorting it up.
Now, this is funny. The scene where she goes, it's showtime. I remember that very vividly when I was a kid. I was like, wow, do girls
Movies.
do that? Huh. I'm like, that's cool. She said showtime, and I saw her boobs. I, for some reason, that sticks in my head.
I get it.
It's a very memorable moment in movies for me.
All right.
Because I've seen this movie like 20
Yeah, we've
times,
seen it.
yeah.
Yeah. So Lana comes out of the bathroom, and we get a false scare with a cat jumping out. Now, I only bring this up because I feel bad for the cat. Because whoever tosses the cat from off camera does such a shitty job. The cat smacks head first and bounces off of the side of a booth seat.
Yeah,
Like, they didn't toss him onto the seat or onto the floor. They just toss him, and it goes smack into the booth and just drops.
I noticed the same thing. One of my wife's friends was sitting with me watching this while my wife was getting ready to leave, and we're both just kind of watching this. We saw this cat just smash into the booth, and she goes, "Damn!"
Yeah. So
This poor fucking cat.
I know it's a small cat.
It just gets thrown against it. Boom.
I felt so bad for the cat.
It was such an unnatural cat thing to do.
Yeah.
They're nimble and quick. They don't dive head first into things. Oh.
So Billy's outside honking the horn and shouting for her to hurry up. He opens the car door and kind of leans out, and he just gets an axe in the back of his head.
Yeah, so again, we don't see who it is.
No.
Someone axe in the back of the head.
Yeah. Lana comes out, but finds the car empty. She does find Billy's coke on the floor.
She does find the coke.
And she's like, hey, all right. She bends down to pick it up.
More for me.
So she can do a line. Now, when she starts getting up and leans up, she sees someone standing by the car door. She sees like feet and somebody holding a bloody axe. She scrambles out of the car, but as soon as she gets out, she gets whacked, axed in the stomach, falls left to die. Fade to black. Fade in on Tommy looking out his bedroom window. Again, he hallucinates
Yep.
Jason standing there.
Ooh.
So this is twice now.
Shakes his head. He's gone.
Yeah. And okay, I will, even though I'm so sick of this false scare being used over and over again in movies, I kind of let it slide a little bit with this, just because of the fact they have established that he's mentally traumatized from his
Sure.
previous encounter with Jason, kind of like with Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Resurrection. She's
Right.
got the PTSD.
Right.
So for this, I kind of let it slide, but at the same time, I'm so tired of this gag.
Sure.
So, where I lost where it was. Oh yeah. So Eddie, and I just put Big Boob Brunette at the time because I didn't know her name. It turned out I think her name's Tina, but
It's Tina, yeah.
It's Big Boob Brunette. They run off into the woods to have sex. And these are two that were arrested for having sex at the beginning of the
She
movie.
is pretty slamming. She's got some nice 80s body going on.
She does.
Big time.
And so they're playing around, they're chasing each other through the woods. Ha ha ha, they're having a good time, they're laughing, they're giggling. They get to a little clearing, they lay down the sheet. Eddie pulls out a joint, they start smoking and undressing each other. While the vagabond we see earlier.
It shows someone watching him.
Yeah, but
it's showing someone watching him, and you're like, oh, who's watching? And then it
just
shows the
though.
vagabond.
Yeah, there was no suspense. Because of who it is, I wasn't going to say.
Yeah,
But
a
yeah,
little bit.
it's just a vagabond. And
He's like, hell yeah.
but he's like, whatever. Then he turns to leave, and as soon as he turns to leave, bam, stabbed in the gut with the machete. So
And
that's
done.
it for him.
And done.
That's it. Yeah.
So all
Two
that
scenes.
I haven't eaten in 2 days, ma'am. I've been just need some honest work and hoping I can get a meal. You
Yeah.
know, like, okay, what's going on with this guy? Nothing.
Just
Nothing.
one more cannon fire. Just one more body count to add. There's no point to this character even being in the movie whatsoever.
None.
So Eddie goes. They get done having sex, and she does. She has some nice big. She's got some big old boobies.
She's
got
a
nice
good-looking
boobs.
lady. Yeah.
So Eddie goes off to clean up, leaving the girl alone, which is always a smart thing to do. She just lays there naked on the sheet. She's looking up at the trees in the sky
And-
enjoying her post-coital glow.
Sure.
And-
yeah. And she's in the woods looking up at the trees.
Yeah.
It's silent as can be.
It is.
All you hear is the wind going through the trees, and she's just relaxing,
She's great.
surrounded by dead leaves and other foliage.
Yep.
And then out of nowhere,
Yep.
she just opens her eyes and screams.
and we see large like Bruce the Barber Beefcake hedge clippers
clippers.
stab down into her, and then you see the motion of it
Close.
close. That's it.
So
So
Okay.
you're wondering, how does the guy sneak up on her with dry leaves and twigs all around her?
While she's soaking in the serenity of like she's listening to everything. It's like they kind of just made that like she's listening to the trees. They're showing. And what the fuck? This is This is not a ninja.
no, he's like an easily 200-something pound man.
Yeah.
Big guy. Yeah,
Ugh.
and he just walks
Silently
silent as can
creeps
be.
up.
So it switches to Eddie, who's down by a creek, and he heads back to Big Boobied Brunette, finds her laying naked on the sheet. He's like, oh, okay. And he rolls her over, and now we see what happened to her. Apparently she was stabbed in the eyes by the hedge clipper, and then when he closes it, it like snaps the
bridge
of her
nose.
nose, like a branch, just snaps it. And it's, again, kind of a good looking effect. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not,
yeah.
for the time, it's not bad. We've seen way worse in other movies. So the effects aren't too bad in this so far.
It's definitely ew.
Yeah. Eddie's like, oh shit. And he backs up into the tree, and then just this leather strap comes whipping around the tree and like wraps him around his head.
Right
and
around his eyes.
Right around the eyes. And the killer puts his thick tree branch through like 2 rings attached to it, and he starts tightening it up. And you hear Eddie screaming as the pressure of the tightening strap is crushing his head, and it crushes
It's
its
breaking his eye sockets. There's blood pouring off his eyes, around his face, and
tightens the strap so much
you
that
hear
even
the cracking.
Even the straps break off
Yeah.
of it. That's how much he tightens it. So another pretty decent death scene.
Yeah.
We cut to Reggie sitting in a car at night, waiting for Pam to take him to go see his brother. Matt's like, hey, Pam, take time with you. It'll be good to get him out and about. She's like, fine, okay. So Pam, Tommy, and Reggie drive off. They drive to this trailer park where Reggie's brother, Demon, like I said earlier, his name's Demon, where he lives. But Tommy decides to wait at the truck.
The funny thing is, this demon guy doesn't even live in the trailer
I
park.
was just about, that's my next one. He doesn't live, he lives in a van.
A big old 80s.
Big old 80s van.
Yeah.
Like the Dodge like the big old Dodge Caravan, the old styles, I think it was.
Really big.
Yeah. And when he opens the door, he pop him out. He looks like an Eddie Murphy, Michael Jackson hybrid.
That's a great
That's
description.
exactly what it looks like.
He's got leather pants,
leather jacket,
like a
black,
big,
but like the black Jerry curl mullet.
but like a perm, but
It's
it's permed.
Yeah,
it's like a perm Jerry
mullet.
curl mullet.
Yeah,
He's got earrings and necklaces. He's got so many accessories. It's ridiculous.
It's like Eddie Murphy from Raw meets Michael Jackson from like the Bad album, and
Right.
with Jerry curl mixed
and
in.
they smushed them together.
Yeah. So Damon gives Reggie one of his rings, which really you think it has no payoff later. It's just supposed to be a touch moment for
he seems
twin
like he's
brothers.
a decent brother, but what's his gig? What's his story?
Yeah,
I'm
like,
curious
it's like
about.
he's supposed to be like a decent, but at the same time he lives in a van and doesn't like really take care of his brother.
Well,
because if he was
he's
a
got
guy's good brother, why is his brother like basically living with his grandpa at this youth detention center instead of And why is he living in a van?
He's living in a van and he's got a girlfriend
Nina,
who's always smoking weed.
Yeah, they're
the
always
whole
smoking
time
weed.
she's like, "What's up, little man?"
Yeah.
And she's pretty awesome. And they're just. What does he do?
There's a lot of drugs in this movie.
Yeah,
just
I
realized
guess
that.
so. Yeah,
We got several people smoking weed. We've had coke already. Like,
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah.
good a lot of drugs in this movie.
Sweet. But I'm just curious, what does he do?
Yeah,
Is
you
he?
don't know. My guess is like he's supposed to be a musician or something.
That's
but
my
you
guess.
have no idea.
That's my guess too, because
or again, maybe he's a stand-up comic if he's supposed to be like Eddie Murphy and Raw.
why would he be wearing all this stuff?
Yeah.
If you weren't, on stage or something. I don't know.
Like I said, you have no idea what he does. So anyway, Tommy's looking at neon signs at the trademark. He's kind of freaking out. He's like,
he's
it's really weird.
He's
like,
looking at a neon sign. He starts hearing the die.
Yeah, like-
He's starting to have the auditory
and
hallucinations.
I'm trying to think back to number 4, and I don't remember anything with a trailer park neon sign or anything like that. Why is
I was
this
thinking. I was
triggering
thinking
it?
the exact same thing, but I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Junior comes pulling up on his crappy little dirt bike, and he tells Tommy that his mama's gonna chop him up into little bitty pieces.
Because he's one of those nuts.
Yep. And he takes a swing at Tommy, and Tommy, as we've seen before, he just ducks it, and he goes the fucking like Patrick Swayze Roadhouse style on this guy. Like he just beats the shit out of Junior.
Yeah.
And eventually Pam has to come out and take him because he's like mounting. He's about to like deliver that finishing blow.
He's about ready to, fuck Junior's
like
world
rip the
up.
throat out.
Yeah.
And but she's like, stop. And so they
So
drive home.
Tommy runs off. Tommy runs off into the woods.
Did he?
Yes.
I missed that because
Tommy
I thought they
goes-
all got in the van or truck. And
Tommy
went
goes,
home.
ugh, and then just runs off into the woods, and he's gone. He runs away.
Okay, well that explains something why later. Because
Mm-hmm. He
I
runs
thought he
away.
was in the truck with them.
No, he
So-
runs away.
So, cut back to Damon, who is like rushes out of the van to go take a shit because of a bad enchilada or something like that.
Pam and Reggie leave to go try and find Tommy. So Demon's in there with his girlfriend, and he goes, ooh, and she goes, what's wrong? He's like, oh, those enchiladas, and he like does a comedic run
Yeah.
to
Like,
the outhouse,
like he's holding his ass.
holding his ass, going, ooh, and then they get a close up shot of him just going, ah,
Yeah, as he takes his shit. So,
which is funny because sometimes I do that. I gotta admit, there is times I go, ah.
yeah.
I think everybody
everybody
does.
says that moment,
And if
yeah.
you don't, you're a liar.
You're a liar.
You're a filthy
You're a
liar.
liar.
You know it when you have those gratifying poos and peas. You go,
So while he's taking his shit, the outhouse starts to shake, and it's this old rickety like aluminum
Yeah.
wall. It's this rickety thing. It's
like
shaking.
sheet metal.
Yeah, sheet. Thank you. And basically, it's just his girlfriend Nina shaking it, messing with him, and they start singing to each other while he's shitting. He's like, ooh, baby, 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 ooh, baby,
Yeah.
ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
So
ooh, baby.
you're right. You're doing a pretty good job.
That's it. That's all. And then they just rotate singing that back and forth to each other. And so then Nina just goes quiet. She stops singing. And the camera goes back to where she's standing, and she's gone.
Right.
Where'd she go? So the outhouse starts shaking again. It's shaking and rumbling.
And he's like, cut it
Come
out.
on, I'm going to get you, bitch, or something like that. And he comes out, and he looks down, and he finds Nina dead on the ground with her throat slashed.
You know what he noticed? What I noticed? He didn't wipe.
You're right. He doesn't wipe.
No.
They don't
And
show him
there's
wiping.
definitely a gratifying shit that has taken place.
Yeah.
And he just gets up
And you
puts
know
his
that was
pants on.
liquidy, too.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
that was super
Enchiladas?
liquidy.
Come
yeah,
on.
that was like explosive liquidy.
Bro.
Yeah.
Wipe your ass.
Bro. So he sees her dead, and he cowers back.
Yeah.
Instead of running out to go get, he like goes back into the outhouse and cowers inside.
And it's really a good description. I mean, he's like, cowering.
Yeah, he cowers.
Yeah.
And this is when these long like metal poles with spikes,
like a
this,
metal spike.
yeah. Like,
Wait,
I don't
where'd
know.
you get this?
I have no idea where you get it.
It's like the biggest railroad spike I could ever.
It's not even
think
a
of.
railroad
I
spike.
know
It's-
it's not.
it's almost
It's just, it's like a
It's like you maybe like a greenish like I don't know like
huge
like a
green
sign
spi-
pole
Yeah,
like a
huge
stop sign or something would be toward the end of this, but it's a spike at the end.
It's a huge spike.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what you'd practically use it for. What the purpose of it?
No.
Like what industrial use you would get? I don't know.
But it starts, being thrust, like coming through the walls, like stabbing, pull out, stabbing. It's like it's like a nightmare version of the magic trick with the sword in the box.
Right.
That's
Very
basically
good.
what
Yeah.
this is.
And he gets it in the knee.
He does. He gets in the knee. He's like, ah! And then the next one just wham comes through, impales him through the chest, and he dies.
No more demon.
No more demon. Dies in the shitter.
His last words I think were "Ooh, baby."
No, his last words were, "I'm gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
you, bitch," or
He's
something
like,
like that.
"You're gonna get it, bitch."
So now this is where I was wrong because I had Pam, Tommy, and Reggie come back, but because I thought he's in the truck, but apparently Tommy's not in the truck because they even say Tommy's ran off. I was like, wait, he was just in the truck with you. Where'd he go? So
Yeah,
you clear that up.
Yeah, he
All right.
ran off.
So they get back home and they're approached by stuttering Jake and Violet and the other laundry girl saying that Matt and George are gone and that Eddie and Tina haven't come back yet. So they tell Pam that Matt went off to find Tina and Eddie. And this is where I'm like, this is where I know it's Tommy's gone. Like, oh, Tommy's not here either, blah, blah, blah. So Pam puts Jake in charge, tells Reggie to go to bed, and goes off to find the others.
So she's like taking charge. She's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna take care of business.
Yeah.
And she gets into this ancient pickup truck,
Well, it's the same truck you drove earlier, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
and-
it's an old like 50s style truck.
50s, 60s style truck.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's old.
And she drives off to go find.
Yep, gets
Tommy.
up, drives off. Now we're back at Ethel's place, and Junior comes riding up, screaming and yelling at Tommy heard him, and they heard him go like, "My eyes!" Like,
He's mad. He's letting off steam. He's screaming.
he hurt me, Mom.
He
He
beat
hurt
me
me
up, he
good.
hurt me.
Rah!"
And it will not. It's just going on.
It's too long. It's like, enough of this. I got it.
She's making stew, or her famous slop.
Yeah, she's
if you
making
will.
stew again.
And she's screaming, "You dumb motherfucker, get in here!" And I'm just like, I love this woman.
And he's just riding his dirt bike in circles around the yard, up and over through the porch. He's just going fucking nuts. Yeah, and Ethel's inside yelling, and you're cooking and just yelling out the window. So Junior's riding and screaming, and then from behind a tree, the killer swings a giant. This thing's fucking huge. I mean, I know in the movie, in the game, it wasn't clear, but it's so ridiculously big. It reminds me of the giant ass sword that Pyramid Head has in like Silent Hill.
It's
so goddamn
comically
big.
big.
Yeah.
Yes. It looks like an anime sword. You know how those
Yes.
anime characters have
Like
those
Cloud from Cloud from Final Fantasy
these
VII.
retardedly
Yeah.
huge swords?
Yeah. And he comes up behind a tree, swipes with the cleaver, cuts Junior's head clean
You
off.
see it bouncing and rolling.
Yeah.
And the bike stops running, and then finally Ethel goes, "It's about damn time. I thought you can't resist my stew."
Yeah, so she's inside, she's making her stew, and she looks up, and the killer's hand holding the cleaver comes smashing through the window, and just the cleaver splits Ethel's head right in the middle. She falls dead, face first, into her gigantic
stew.
pot of stew.
And squishes a tomato.
Yep, it squishes a tomato. Cut back to Pam, the truck. She's driving down a road looking for some of the others. Of course, the truck dies.
Just breaks down.
For no reason, just
Yeah.
done. She gets out, walks back the way she came.
And then you hear a thunderclap.
Back in the house, Jake and the other girl are watching an old black and white movie on an old TV that actually has dials on it, people.
Yeah.
Remember those TVs that had dials?
I do.
I actually had one.
Yeah, we did too.
So Jake tells this other girl that he really likes her and he wants to be with her, and I
He's
want to make love with
stuttering.
you. He's stuttering. Yeah.
And she's not even looking at him. She's just watching TV,
Yeah,
eating
and
popcorn.
she does fine. He laughs like when he says, "I want to make love."
He's
You
like,
want to
I want to make love to you, and she's like,
She laughs, and then he's like, "I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it." And he gets up and he leaves. And now the thunderstorm rolls in. Jake goes to check on Violet, and who's in her room listening to music and dancing in her room.
Yeah.
And so he leaves her room and closes the door behind him. But as soon as he turns to go back downstairs, boom, meat cleaver in his skull, right in the middle of his face.
So we have the killer who just killed Junior and Ethel
Yep.
on their property, which is okay. It's not too far away.
No,
But he
it's
has to
some
go
miles
all the way
further.
over
Some
to.
distance.
There's probably a good amount of distance because
Yeah,
those
a few-
rural areas.
I'd
you
say a
know.
few acres at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he's got to travel all the way over there, get into the house, get upstairs without being seen or heard.
I know. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way that would happen.
Yeah.
And so Jake gets cleaver in the skull. At this time, the rain is pouring down, and the other girl, she turns off the TV, tries to wake up Reggie, who's asleep on the couch, to get him to go to bed. But she's like, fuck it. She leaves him down there. She goes upstairs. In her room, she takes off her robe, and we see her tits.
Yeah. She just gets into her undies.
She gets to the bed topless, and she tries to go to sleep. She rolls over, and in a lightning flash, she finds herself face to face with Jake's dead body. Jake's head has a giant gash or split down the middle from the cleaver, and I'm like, how the fuck did she not see this body in her bed? Because it's only a twin size bed.
It's a bunk bed, and she's on the top bunk, and it's a
She's
twin
not even on
size.
the top, she's on the
Yeah.
bottom bunk.
I thought she was on top.
No, she's on the bottom bunk. And yeah, it's a twin size bed. She gets in and like what how like okay. If by some chance I allow myself to believe that she doesn't see the body initially, how does she not even feel the body when
Right.
she lays? It's a twin bed. You can't fit two people in that thing without barely falling off. So how are you not gonna notice a goddamn dead body in your bed?
Preaching the choir, baby. Preaching the choir.
So
What was it?
I don't know, just frustration. So stupid. So anyway, she screams and she tries to get up when a hand grabs her throat from underneath the bed. This fucking piece of shit gag we've seen all the time.
So she was on the top bunk.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Because
She-
he holds her and then he goes through the bottom.
We've seen how many he did this to fucking Kevin Bacon in the first one. He's on a regular bed. He was underneath the bed. It's not a top bunk.
She's on top bunk.
It's not a bunk bed, dude.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway.
Which even so, if even it was a top bunk, how did she not see the killer laying in the bunk below her? Then when she got up on the top of the bump, like it makes it even more ridiculous if that was a top bunk and the killer's just laying there going doopy doopy doo, and she climbs on top of him like they get to the top bunk. That makes no sense.
So he grabs her and shoves the machete through the body.
Yes.
So she gets killed.
Oh. Anyway. So we cut back to Violet, who's still dancing in the room, and she's popping and locking and doing the robot.
This is crazy because this scene, they focus on her doing the robot.
Or what actually might be considered animation dancing nowadays.
Ooh.
But-
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's really a combination of the robot and mime work.
And popping lock. Yeah.
And
so that's what
popping
it's
and
like, I think
locking.
I remember I was watching an episode of So You Think You Can Dance earlier in the
Okay.
summer because there's nothing else on.
Sure.
And they were doing stuff like that, and they called it animation dance. I'm like, oh, that's new to me.
Ooh.
Shows you how out of touch I
Well,
am.
she's got the music was pretty good. I kind of like the
Yeah,
music
the
that
music
she
was
was
bad,
dancing
yes.
to. It's good 80s music, and she's doing this like robot kind
She's
of thing.
doing this
but they keep the camera on her quite a bit. You
Yeah.
know, it's like they really watch.
It's like they
make a
really
point.
want to make point that she's really into this. She's got the music blaring. She's into
And
it.
whoever the killer comes in, you just see feet come in the room, and he's being very quiet. And she
Yeah.
kind of has her back turned the door. The music's loud. So
Yeah,
you
she's
kinda,
facing out the window. She's
And
got
there,
her
of
back.
course, there's the thunder and lightning, so you kind of buy it that he's sneaking in.
But she hears a noise, and she turns around, and
there's
of course, no one's there.
No one to be seen.
So she goes back to popping and locking. The killer steps out from behind a corner with machete in hand. She spins around. The killer grabs her by the throat,
She can't scream. Yeah.
slams her up against the wall, and with one hand lifts her up off the ground and stabs her in the stomach with the machete.
And there goes Violet.
Yep. And I had major issues with this death scene, which I will try to remember to come back later when we get to the end of this. Cut to Reggie waking up from his slumber, and he goes upstairs, knocks on Tommy's door to see if he's come back yet.
Like, Tommy, you home? You back yet, Tommy?
He
No.
opens the door, and a flash of lightning hits,
Reveals.
and he sees the bodies of Jake, Violet, and the other girl
They're all piled up in one room.
piled up on Tommy's bed. He backs out of the room, and he runs into Pam. And she goes in, looks at Tommy's room. She screams
Again,
when she
a
sees the body.
conveniently timed
Yeah.
lightning flash.
Exactly.
No one just turns on the light. How can I see in here? Ah, thank you, lightning.
Yes, thank you, Lightning. So Pam grabs Reggie and they run downstairs. Reggie trips and falls. She's trying to help him up. And this is when Jason breaks down the back door and he finally makes his appearance.
And he doesn't break down the back door.
No, he
it
smashes.
fucking explodes.
Yeah,
it's kind of
shatters
when
into
Michael,
pieces.
like when Michael Myers in Halloween Resurrection burst into Laurie Strode's
Yeah,
room.
it's like
And it's the same thing. He just touches the door and
it's like there's a SWAT team on the other side there with like where they're breaching the
like
door. And
C4, and
Yeah.
it just explodes. He bursts. He just makes the door explode and
Yep.
stands there all fucking studly like.
Now keep in mind, with the exception of the hallucinations, this is the first time in the entire movie we've seen Jason.
Right.
And this is like an hour and 10 minutes into the movie.
We're in the final minutes
final
of the
push
movie.
here.
So all throughout the movie, all you saw were like hands
and feet.
feet, and yeah.
Yeah.
So here it is. It's Jason.
Yeah. So Pam and Reggie, they run through the house and out the front door and into the storm. The two of them run through the woods and they come out by the road where they see the ambulance. They rush up to it, they open the driver's door, and the body of the blonde asshole paramedic, who we didn't touch on there, but there's the blonde asshole paramedic. He falls out, he's dead. So again, just like fucking Nightcrawler, Jason just instantly shows up.
Instantly shows up on
Just-
the other side of the ambulance.
Yeah,
just pops up. So
Just
he
bamf right there.
he bursts through the door and they run out the door. So in order for him to get there, he would have to run
He had to have been running full speed
right
behind him.
full speed behind him, but he'd have to deviate the path so they didn't know he was behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Go around, sneak up, get behind. There's no way
No way.
this could have happened.
None. So Reggie is like, oh shit,
I love this. Reggie screams like, "Way!" He sounds like he's got a great scream. Sounds like a banshee, and he just goes, "Fuck this!" And
He's
bolts.
gone.
He's
He books it.
gone. I mean, he moves like like a running back.
No, he Pam tries to run after him, but he's gone like fucking Usain Bolt.
Like-
he's out.
Like there is a cloud of dust in a rainstorm behind
Yeah.
him because he's going that fast.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. He's just like, "Fuck you, bitch!" Boom.
So
Reggie's my favorite.
Pam's trying to catch up with Reggie, and she runs across Matt's body that's been nailed to a tree by a giant railroad spike through his
the
head.
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So somehow he died.
Yeah, you don't see it, but yeah, somehow. So she gets back to the house. She's in the house. She's walking through the living room, and George
she runs back to the house.
Yeah.
You know, she ran out of the house, found the ambulance, ran back. Reggie's gone. She's screaming, Reggie, Reggie. And she's kind of looking around, and through the big picture window comes a body crashing through.
Reggie, yeah, it's George's body comes flying through the windows, and
Reggie's
he rolls
grandpa,
up,
yeah.
and his eyes are missing. That's why his eyes are gone.
Poor old
Black
George. What was his name? George.
George,
Poor
yeah.
old George. Poor old George.
Again, Pam runs out of the house, and we see Jason stalking after her.
And this is where Pam goes from, at one point, who I thought was a very strong female character, like, I'm going to go take charge and find Tommy, and to just like the damsel in distress. Just
she falls.
flopping around. They're going, oh, oh. You know, she went from being a pretty strong character to just flopping.
Yep.
You know, like literally flopping and flailing.
She falls and slips in the mud, and then she just flopping around like a fish on a water, like blop blop blop. And Jason,
they're close to a barn. She's laying on the ground.
Jason's he has the machete raised above her, and he's about to kill her when, bam! Reggie comes crashing through the goddamn barn doors in a goddamn bulldozer.
Yes.
And I'm like, how does a 12-year-old know how to drive and operate a bulldozer?
With efficiency.
Yes.
Now, this is where I kind of like suspended my disbelief a little bit. He does live on this property. He does grow up. Someone probably showed him at one time how to kind of drive it or something like that. Because if I was 12 years old, I'd be like, I want to drive it. I want to drive it.
But at the same time, who's going to let, okay, 12-year-old, my dad wouldn't let me use a riding mower when I was 12, let alone a goddamn bulldozer.
My grandpa let me drive a tractor that was pretty fucking huge
But
before.
were you sitting on his lap?
Well, I was with him.
Okay,
yeah.
well, see, that's, okay, I don't know, but this...
Sure, I mean, he actually hung on the side. He was showing me how to do stuff, and he just hung on the side, you know, and was like, okay, do this, do that, shift here, and I'm like, ooh, wow. You know, so I'm just saying.
All right.
My suspension of disbelief is I'm gonna let it slide.
Anyway, he rams Jason with the bulldozer,
and
he goes
smashes into him,
back.
and like, because it's got little teeth on the end.
Yeah,
of
it's got
too.
the teeth of the
yeah,
bulldozer.
and so it hits him, and he goes flying back, and he kind of like grasps his side, like ah,
yeah,
you know,
and then he just kind of goes limp.
Yeah.
So Pam and Reggie hug.
And this is the funniest part is like Reggie just saved her ass.
Mm-hmm.
She was floundering on the ground like she like gave up. She gave up. And she comes and like he picks her up and she goes, "Oh Reggie, it's okay. Don't worry."
Yeah, it's
and I'm
gonna
just
be
like,
okay now.
"Bitch, he just saved your life."
Yeah.
You know? I mean, he's the stud hero who just saved you, and she's like, "Don't worry, son. It's okay."
Yeah,
You
I thought
know?
the same thing. I thought the same thing.
What
so,
is-
Jason appears to be dead.
She does start kissing him a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
But
which is a little
I don't know if you
uncomfortable.
noticed this, but when they pan over to Jason and show him dead, you can see him breathing.
Oh, I didn't catch
Yeah,
that.
you can see the guy breathing. He's supposed
Yeah.
to be dead. But so they walk over to him, which is they always do, and it's stupid. I don't know why people. And Jason grabs Reggie's leg. They fight him off, and they run into the
Yeah,
barn.
Pam finds her nuts again and then kicks him in the face a few times.
Yeah. So Jason gets up, grabs his machete, and he follows after them. In the barn,
Now he does also seem pretty concerned about his injury. He looks at it.
he does.
Examines his injury. He's like, ugh,
This
know.
sucks.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, back to killing. And he goes in the bar, and he first, he doesn't see anything. It's all quiet.
Everything's quiet. You
And
can't see anything.
He hears a noise come from the small wooden tool shed inside the bar. And Reggie's watching him approach the shed
Yeah,
from his
Reggie-
hiding spot up in the hayloft.
Reggie's in the
behind
hayloft
Hale
looking down
Yeah.
at Jason going towards this door.
So Jason opens his door, and Pam rushes out in with a roaring chainsaw in hand.
Again,
And
this
now,
is-
just like in Halloween Resurrection, there is no starting up sound, no point on the ripcord. It just instantly fucking
as soon as
started.
that door opens, she's got this thing going, and they are having a machete versus chainsaw fight,
Yep.
which is pretty awesome.
And she's swinging it. Jason's deflecting with his machete, and Reggie's cheering her on from the loft, like, yeah, yeah. And Pam manages to land a cutting blow on his left shoulder.
And it's pretty deep.
It's
I
a
mean,
pretty good-
she
yeah.
nails him. That arm is pretty much useless now. He was only defending with his right arm now. His left arm is pretty much
This is dangling.
yeah, it's pretty much useless, and it seems like she's got him on the ropes.
But then
she's
it
going to town him,
dies.
and then it just why does it just suddenly die?
And-
And
but-
it suddenly died in
Yeah.
Resurrection also.
So she's trying to get to start. It won't start. And again, just like Halloween Resurrection, she just tosses the chainsaw at Jason and runs.
Instead of like, it's still a weapon. It still has teeth. It's
I'm just like thinking, did the people who made Halloween Resurrection just watch this scene and said, "Yep, that's what we're doing"?
golden.
It's like the exact same thing, except for in
really
a
is.
barn. They're in a garage in Halloween Resurrection.
It's
the same thing.
It's exactly the same.
So Tommy finally shows up, and he has a stare down with Jason.
Yeah, and now like Pam has gone up onto the loft with Reggie. So Pam and Reggie are looking down at Tommy and Jason. Jason's walking towards Tommy with his machete, and Tommy, to his credit, is thinking he's hallucinating. He's looking at Jason like, Jason? Well, he thinks he's trying to determine, I guess, if it's a hallucination
Yeah,
or it's
because
real.
he just stands there staring
Yeah.
at Jason while Pam and Reggie are yelling at him to
They're
run
like,
away.
run!
Run
He's
away."
going to kill you.
Yeah,
Get away.
Yeah, and he just stands there as Jason approaches. He's hearing the voice in his head, and Jason just slashes him across the chest with a
Big
machete.
gash across the chest,
Tommy
dropping
falls to the
Tommy.
ground. Yeah. And he's about to Jason stands above him. He's about to land a killing blow when Tommy pulls out his pocket knife and stabs Jason in the stomach with it.
No, it was the I noted where it was. It was the upper thigh near
Was
the
it?
groin
Okay.
because I was like, ooh, if you hit that cephalic artery, that'd be a great
Femoral
spot.
artery, but okay.
That'd be a great spot to hit him. That's your femoral artery right there.
Oh, I thought that's
So-
a jugular artery up there.
Well, yeah, it is your jugular, but
Come on,
I don't know.
Mr. Nurse.
All right, well, no, cephalic, but he hits in there, cephalic vein. Anyway,
All right.
those big
I thought it
fucking
was the stomach, but
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, so Jason collapses. Tommy climbs up to Pam and Reggie, and with Jason close behind. He's climbing up right behind him. Jason gets to the top, and he finds Tommy lying on the floor, seemingly dead.
yeah, and
He
Tommy
kind of like
too-
nudges him, and he does.
And
He just rolls
this
over.
is my favorite. Okay, I gotta go back just a tiny bit.
Okay.
When Tommy climbs up there, he's struggling. He's having a hard time climbing up, so it's believable that he's either dead or passed out because he barely gets up.
Yeah.
And then when Jason gets to the ladder, he just kind of stops and looks up, and you can tell he just goes, "Fuck!" He just kind of looks up. He got hit in the ribs with a bulldozer. His arms dangling. He just got stabbed almost pretty much in the groin, and now he just looks. And he goes, "God damn it!" And it's like there's this physical sign where he's just like, "I guess I got to do this." Damn it! And then just starts barely getting up the ladder himself. So it's just I love that scene. I'm like,
So he looks for the other two, and he spots Reggie behind some hay barrels, and
Reggie stands up.
he
Reggie
just stands up like, oh shit. He stands up, and then from behind, Pam whacks him from behind with the heft
with
of
an axe handle.
It's the-
yeah,
yeah, the
there's no
haft.
blade on the
Yeah,
axe.
it's
Yeah,
called a heft.
No,
And
I thought it was just an axe handle. Well, whatever.
Jason basically turns around, grabs it from her, tosses it aside. She's backing up to the edge of the open loft doors. She glances behind her, and she sees what can only be described as metal pallets with spikes on them.
Right, well, what is like a thresher? I don't
It's not even
understand.
a thresher. It's just like a wooden pallet, only made of metal, and it's got spikes on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what purpose this thing is supposed to serve or why
It's
it would be there.
Medieval farm equipment is the best way I could describe it.
It looks like some kind of torture device.
It's just huge foot long spikes,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't get it. If anybody knows anything about agrarian type of farming equipment, agriculture, if you know what this thing is,
Yeah,
please let us know because I have no clue.
Yeah, I just like this pallet with spikes.
Yeah, she looks back and she's like,
Oh,
shit. Yeah.
So Reggie comes leaping off some crossbeams.
Flying shoulder
like
tackle.
fucking Jimmy Snuka style.
Right.
Like, wow!
Just smashes
And
into him and
knocks
Jason
off the ledge. He
goes off the ledge.
So the camera makes it look like Jason falls onto the spikes because you see the camera like drop onto the spikes. And then so Pam and Reggie are hugging again, and they go to peek over the ledge. Jason pops up, grabs Reggie's ankle, and he's trying to pull him over the edge with him. Then Tommy wakes up, grabs Jason's machete, and cuts off Jason's arm with the machete.
Sending Jason plummeting
Yeah.
onto the spikes,
And
and
he-
he lands with
Yeah,
authority.
He gets impaled. There's almost a bounce to it, but it spikes right through his whole body.
I love that scene. I love that when that impact he
Yeah.
makes. Well, bam! I mean, it's woof.
It's a good impact. So we cut to the hospital where Pam and Reggie are curled up in a hallway waiting area. The sheriff comes up to talk to Pam, and he tells her that he found this on
Oh well,
Roy.
we didn't say who the killer was
No,
because
but I'm just saying.
okay.
That's what I'm saying. He says, I found this on Roy, and he shows her a leather wallet, and inside the wallet we see pictures of Roy and then pictures of Joey from the beginning, and then the sheriff
Joey the
thinks
fat chocolate eating
that Vic killed.
Yeah.
So the sheriff explains that Roy was Joey's father, but does not know why he kept it a secret. And he talks about how Roy was a loner and all this stuff, and that Roy went crazy when he saw Joey all hacked to pieces, and that he used Jason to cover up his killing spree. So there's the big twist. It wasn't Jason at all in this movie. It was the paramedic Roy doing all this in a Jason mask.
No Jason Voorhees.
So that alone, I know we'll come back to this, but that alone pissed. One reason why so many people get pissed off at this movie.
It's Roy the paramedic.
Roy the paramedic. So Pam gets up to go check on Tommy, who's sleeping in one of the hospital rooms. He wakes up, they look at each other, and they have a little moment, and then he pulls out a machete from underneath him and stabs her in the stomach with him, and he just laughs maniacally.
Hysterically laughing.
Just like,
Yeah.
like just evil laughter. Hard, fast cut to Tommy bolting up in the same hospital
It was a
bed.
dream.
Storms still going on outside. Another fucking dream scene. He lays back down, but when he looks up, he sees Jason standing at the foot of his bed. They stare at each other again, and then Jason slowly fades away.
And I kind of
Nothing.
like that scene. I actually did kind of like that scene because he sits up, he sees Jason, and it's kind of like, you know, this moment where he's looking at him. Is it really him? He doesn't know. And he's looking at him, and they're just locking eyes, and he's just kind of giving him a hard look, and then Jason slowly fades away.
Kind of like okay, he's
Like,
putting it past him.
Yep,
It's faded away from him.
He's
So-
accepting reality. And I kind of like that scene.
Yeah, but then what happens? It I don't know. So Tommy rips out the IV from his arm. He gets out of bed, goes to this little dresser. He opens up the door, and inside is the Jason mask that Roy wore.
Why?
Yeah, I don't
What-
fucking know
what-
why. Why it would
what-
be in there?
What the balls? One, he's in the hospital. Two, this is evidence.
Yeah,
3, why the fuck would he put it in his... What?
Yeah.
What is happening?
yeah. There's no explanation, no logical reason why that mask would be in there. And he picks it up and he looks at it. It cuts to Pam walking down the hospital corridor towards Tommy's room. She gets to the door. She's about to open it when you hear this glass smashing. She rushes in, and the windows are all smashed out. And
The
Tommy's
storm is raging, and
storm's raging. Tommy's nowhere to be seen. That is until the door closes behind her, and Tommy appears behind her wearing the Jason mask. He raises a large kitchen knife above his head as the camera zooms into his eyes. Fade to black. Roll credits.
Friday 13th, new beginning.
New beginning. So I have a lot to talk about at some when we get to this, but I'll try to save that till a little later in the show. So we're gonna go into favorite kills.
There can be only one. Favorite kill?
Now, there's obviously a lot to fucking choose from.
It's
in
kind of
this
pretty
movie.
high body count.
I think it's like 20 or something like that.
Jesus.
19, 20 people. Like, it's a lot to choose from.
But while there is a high body count, many of them are just stabs.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Stabs,
You know.
throat slicing.
Yeah, stabs or throat slicing.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty common theme in
Yeah.
this movie. There are some unique ones, but that seems to be the one,
Mhm.
or the most common.
So, yeah, let's go. What is your favorite kill?
Well, my favorite kill in this one is when what's his fucking name? The guy who runs off in the woods and bones the good-looking girl.
Eddie?
Eddie, the leather strap.
Leather strap. Okay.
So that's my favorite kill because it's unique. You
Yeah.
know, it's quite literally a leather strap and a stick that does this guy in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the pressure, you hear
Torque.
the cracking. Yeah, torque. You know, you hear his head, you hear this, you know, the skull starting to crack and break a little bit, and there's blood coming out. It's a unique kill, and the breaking of the strap is just kind of a good way to end it. I like that. That's my favorite kill.
Yeah, I'm probably right there with him. At first, when I was watching, I was kind of leaning towards the road flare in the mouth because that's again unique and different. But I kind of go with you. Like, I think the leather strap was just kind of the most brutal. Like, that just like, oh god, that would
Yeah.
be so bad. So
Yeah, tough way to go. 'Cause
I
you
mean, not
can't
a
really...
road flare in the mouth wouldn't be great either. But I think that would be. I don't know if that'd be quicker or not, more instant. But that strap to the tree is just. Oh, that'd be awful.
I guess my honorable mention would be Roy getting his arm chopped off and then falling and bam, hitting those spikes. That's my honorable mention.
Okay. Yeah. So there we go. Our favorite kills are basically both the same this week. The leather strap around the head.
Now, before we move on, you did have something to say about Violet's death. the raver goth
Oh,
chick.
okay,
So,
you're right. Now that we got this on the now that I'm sure everybody's seen this movie and everybody knows that Roy Jason was in, but I didn't, for some odd reason, I didn't want to say it yet.
sure.
But because of the fact it's Roy and not Jason, again, it pisses me off that Roy exhibits the same supernatural abilities that Jason has. And Roy's just an average fucking dude. And so why he, one, is teleporting everywhere and is like ninja quiet pisses me off. And two, he kills with like the skill of like an assassin, like Jason's skills. Like this guy should be like bumbling, barely be able to do anything. He's never, you don't think he's ever killed before.
He never makes a mistake.
No, never once does he make a mistake. Does he get, or sure that he's even like, he's so overpowered and so good at like, it's like
He's a big dude.
yeah, but at the same
not,
time, like
yeah.
nobody's able to fight back against him. He makes, like I say, he makes no mistakes. But the thing that gets me is again, he grabs Violet with one hand by the neck,
his left hand.
left hand. So it's obviously not his dominant hand, unless his left hand.
Because he's always wielding the machete in his,
his right hand with his left hand, and then with one hand lifts her up off the ground. And I've said it many times on this podcast before. I have serious fucking issues with that kind of bullshit with people lifting people off the ground like they're nothing.
Unless you're
Especially-
supernatural. Yeah.
Unless
yeah.
there's been some kind of establishment that there's some kind of supernatural thing going on where they have like Jason, Michael, it has been established that there's something not right there. They are not regular humans. So you can suspend the disbelief and let that slide. But since it's Roy, just a regular fucking guy, the fact that he does this pisses me off so much that I'm like, God damn it.
Well, part of his job is picking up dead bodies. So.
Not
not by the neck. Yeah.
So
I get you. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
And that's one reason, like, before I even go into odds and ends and everything, like, this movie, it sucks. It does. It's not very good. But it's just the fact that, kind of like Halloween 3, which I hate, and even to a lesser extent, Halloween Resurrection, in the sense that, to me, this movie is just the filmmakers holding up two big middle fingers to the fans and saying, fuck you, and I understand, like, when I get to odds and ends, there's some things that explain why, and I kind of get it again, and I'll touch base on it later, but I have issues with this
Let's
movie.
get to it.
All right. Yeah. Let's jump into odds and ends.
Not only did they watch these films, they researched them too. Ugh, what is wrong with these guys?
So, starting with ratings, IMDb 4.7 out of 10.
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes 16% on the tomato meter, and a 27% audience score. That's the same score Halloween Resurrection got. So
That's
there's a lot of
funny.
ties with this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amazon, of course, Amazon being Amazon,
Oh, yeah, 3.5?
3.4.
Oh, well.
So close.
Yeah.
Plot keywords. There were 142, and I did go through and read all of them, but I just wanted to. I wrote down ones that were
Fun.
one independent film. Like
Really?
this isn't an independent
It's
film.
Paramount.
It's Paramount. This is
Yeah.
a big studio release. This was not independent anyway. New Jersey, which I'm like, again, what the fuck is going on with New Jersey? Because if you remember when we did Jason X, New Jersey was one of the keywords in that too.
That's right.
But they make no reference to New Jersey in any of these movies. I'm really
I
wondering if
guess
there's like
Crystal Lake is in New Jersey?
you don't know.
I thought it was
they
New
never
York.
said. I always thought it was like upstate New York too, or something like that,
Whatever.
or like maybe Pennsylvania or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But I'm just wondering if there's some like guy, some super fan in New Jersey who just goes on here and puts New Jersey, who wants us to be New Jersey so bad. It's like Illinois has Haddonfield and Michael. We're getting fucking New Jersey Halloween.
Yeah.
Goddamn it, New Jersey. So I don't know, but and then all right, moving on. Attempted child murder, which is the second time we've seen that one now too.
Yeah.
So there's more than one movie where people are like, I want attempted child murder in my movies. I'm gonna type that in. America.
America.
Laundry and defecation.
Oh, Demon.
Demon.
Okay,
Yeah.
Demon was taking that big enchilada poo.
Yep.
Where's the America
I
come
don't
in?
know, but America.
America.
America is a plot keyword for this movie. So, all right, moving on to trivia, and there's quite a bit, but some of it's really interesting. Corey Feldman's cameo scenes were shot in the backyard of his own house.
Oh,
So they went to
wow.
Corey Feldman's house and shot in his
That's
backyard.
hilarious.
Yeah. Tommy's opening dream scene, which Corey Feldman was originally different in the original script, and it arguably apparently made him seem more suspect later on. It was supposed to open as a continuation of the ending of the previous film, as young Tommy is taken to the same hospital as Jason's corpse. Then, in a sudden fit of psychotic rage, he winds up attacking half the hospital staff, trying to get to the morgue to find Jason's bloodied body. Once he finally finds the body, Jason rises up from the autopsy table. Immediately after this, adult Tommy wakes up in the van en route to the Pinehurst Hospital. So that was supposed to be the original opening of the movie.
That sounds awesome.
That does sound pretty cool.
A lot better than coked up hillbillies.
Yeah. The film was supposed to have Corey Feldman as the star, coming back as Tommy Jarvis. However, he was already working on one of my favorite movies of all time, The Goonies, at
Really?
the time. So therefore, the script was rewritten to have Feldman appearance limited to the opening cameo. So,
While he's doing Goonies, he's like, sorry,
which is probably why they filmed in his backyard. Because
Right.
like, I have school, I'm filming this other movie, but yeah, come shoot at night, we'll knock it out. Because Corey Feldman at 12 has that much clout in Hollywood. They come to him.
He was quite a child star.
Yep. So this is the first time in the series where Jason is actually referred to by his full name, Jason Voorhees.
Huh.
Although, and I commented on this earlier, although part 5 appears in all promotional material, it does not appear in the actual film. The opening credits simply read Friday 13th, A New Beginning. The film, which Jake and Robin, okay, so that's Laundry Girl number 2. Robin is her name. The film that they're watching, the old black and white one, is called A Place in the Sun from 1951.
I was curious about that.
Which revolves around the drowning of one of its characters in a lake, the same fate Jason had.
Ooh.
So, tie-in. 1 month prior to the film's release in the United States, the MPAA demanded that 16 scenes featuring sex or graphic violence be edited in order to merit an R rating of 7X.
So this was bordering X.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is weird because, again, looking back, we had this problem with one of the other movies we did. I don't remember which one, but it was almost an X rating. And it's not that violent, and it wasn't that gory, really, in hindsight, and there wasn't that much sex in it at all.
I remember we talked about this. However, in this movie, there's a good amount of boobs.
You see
There's-
3 sets of boobs.
Yeah, well, good amount of boobs. The violence, and it seems like it almost seems edited.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it looks like
There are times
there's-
when they just flash off screen. It's not necessarily off screen killings. Like you see the axe coming, and then you get a shot of the victim's face, like reacting, and then you see the aftermath.
Yeah.
So it's not quite off screen. It's just poor
I
editing.
kind of thought the same thing. Like, it looks very edited and cut together.
And when the guy in the car, when the greasers got his throat slashed,
Mm-hmm.
they had a very unnatural focus on his face. Instead of just watching his throat get slashed, they focused quickly onto his face.
Well, that could also just because of special effects, they didn't want to do the actual effects.
It seemed
limitations
like a
of
very
time.
unnatural zoom in, and I think it very well could have been edited to help acquire the R rating as opposed to X.
Yeah, but I don't know if they can change that in editing, like the way they zoom. I don't know, maybe, who knows. But anyway, they said it took 9 trips to the MPAA, back and forth 9 times before it finally
Jesus.
got the R.
I want to see the original cut.
In the scene where Damon's in the outhouse, the word Victor Faden can be seen written on the outhouse wall behind Damon. This is the same name of the mental patient
Yeah.
who hacked Joey to death and who was taken by police. And many believe this was put there to insinuate the possibility that Victor had escaped and is committing more murders. Without counting the laughing or yelling, Tommy Jarvis's character only says 24 words throughout the entire film.
He really doesn't have very many lines.
Kind of
yeah.
like Violet. Like, it's like, yeah. So actress Melanie Kinnaman, who plays Pam, and director Danny Steinman did not get along during the making of the film, and Kinnaman says Steinman was hostile and unpredictable as a director. She also claims that her favorite scenes in the film are the ones where she is wearing the wet see-through t-shirt. She felt she didn't look good in the film until they turned the sprinklers on. So until the end when she's running through the woods in the storm. The scene in which Pam attacks Jason with the chainsaw was shot on Halloween night in 1984.
Ooh.
So there's another Halloween tie-in. In order to keep the storyline a secret, the film was originally called Repetition after the David Bowie song of the same name. Several of the other Friday the 13th films have also now used David Bowie songs as fake titles.
Now, also, when Violet's in a room dancing, there's a few pictures of David Bowie on the wall.
Oh, well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Because she's got all kinds of shit on the walls
Yeah,
and
she all
stuff.
sorts of, like,
and when
music
she was
posters.
put against the wall getting stabbed, I saw a couple David Bowie pictures. I was like, oh,
Oh.
David Bowie. Oh, she's getting stabbed. So what? David Bowie, right on.
John Shepard, who played Tommy, researched the role of Tommy by working in a state mental hospital.
Shit.
Deborah Voorhees,
Yes.
her original sex scene was much longer. She's the one who was Tina, big booby Tina, was supposed to be much longer and much more graphic. The film's editor was told by the producer to trim the scene to make it look like a Pepsi commercial, which is why you barely see any sex. They get naked, they kiss, and next thing you know, the sex is over and it's done. That's why it's so short and weird looking.
And what's her last name?
Voorhees, the same as Jason.
Which is fucking awesome.
Yep. This was the last film directed by Danny Steinman, which doesn't surprise me at all because
No.
this movie's not very good. Danny Steinman was actually originally going to write and direct a sequel to The Last House on the Left for Paramount. However, after the project fell through, they offered him this role instead. John Shepard wore cowboy boots in order to look taller, and I didn't notice that because I was like, in one scene, like when he's staying on the porch behind the other, I was like, yeah, he's wearing cowboy boots. This was interesting. Violet was originally supposed to be killed by being stabbed with a machete in her pelvic region, so in the vag.
Goddamn.
There's a still photo featuring the makeup effect for that death scene online, featuring a bloody crotch. It was changed for unknown reasons. Violet was originally supposed to be killed while doing gymnastics instead of dancing. The scene of Lana and Billy was originally written for Halloween, the final chapter, which was part 4, but was,
Oh.
for unknown reasons, wasn't used and put into this film, which is why it seems so goddamn random. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's why, because it was shot for the movie a year earlier and then put in.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's what?
So it's showtime, showing her boobs. That scene?
Yeah,
Huh.
that was all shot for the previous movie. So, New Beginning screenwriter, film director Danny Steinman was originally offered a 2-picture deal to direct a Friday sequel as well as The Last House Left, which we already talked about. The later ultimately fell through. At the time, he had just made his official directorial debut with the Linda Blair movie Savage Streets in 1984. However, he'd actually been working in exploitation cinema under various pseudonyms since 1973, starting with the hardcore sex comedy High Rise, that was Steinman's only adult film, an attempt to make a better version of Deep Throat.
So he was trying to class it up.
I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, Deep Throat was an interesting movie. We can talk
Yeah.
about that, but we won't get into that. But still, in the 70s, yeah, people would go to theaters to see some movies like this. Yeah.
We had porn in the theater. You could
Yeah,
go
like
watch it. Like
they
you'd
showed
watch-
people in line. It was like Johnny Carson was in line to see Deep Throat. Dennis
Yeah.
Hopper was in line to see Deep Throat. Like people
was a
were going to
thing.
go see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Friday 13th Part 3 was supposed to center around Part 2 survivor Ginny, Amy Steele, set at a mental institution to which she'd been committed due to her emotional trauma. Steele declined to return and the concept was shelved. However, Part 3's screenwriter Martin Torser, or whatever his name is, had fleshed out the ideas into a written story treatment, which was dusted off and used in New Beginnings' basic story. So that's how that story came around. It was originally supposed to be Part 3. There was originally a 3-minute long sex scene with Deborah Voorhees, but the MPA forced it to cut it to 10 seconds. That's huge.
So that would have been a 3-minute long.
Boning scene in the woods.
That's a long
Cut
scene.
to 10 seconds. And Debbie Sue Voorhees lost teaching jobs after later in life when the schools discovered her sex scene.
That sucks.
That does suck.
That
I mean,
sucks.
that's kind of bullshit. School districts. Anyway, so Vic was the killer in the film because thought he was the killer in the film because he hacked Jody pieces, and later on, the sign on the wall in the bathroom, Vic Faden, was simply the name of a golfing buddy of Danny Steinman's brother. Meaning that the graffiti was an inside joke that everyone has apparently completely misinterpreted over the years. Let's see.
Man, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Almost. But it's really interesting.
Yeah.
The film's title, A New Beginning, was chosen because it had been decided that Tommy would become the killer in the next installment.
That's kind of what they went for.
That's what Yeah, Danny Stein was instructed to do two things with the film: to deliver a shock, scare, or kill every 7 or 8 minutes, and more importantly, to turn Tommy into Jason. The ending with Tommy about to kill Pam was not originally meant to be interpreted as a dream, and was instead intended to show Tommy had gone crazy after his encounter with the fake Jason. However, this plot twist was abandoned when fans demanded Jason's return, and he was resurrected in Jason Lives Part 6. If this film had gone down well with the fans, the producers would have brought John Shepard and Melanie Kinnaman back for a direct sequel.
And yeah, you know, I mean, Tommy is not that big.
No.
He's pretty small.
Yeah.
You know, he's in great shape.
He's got like
and-
Tom Cruise. Like he was wearing cowboy boots to look bigger.
Right,
So-
right. I mean, he's in great shape.
He was in great shape, but he's
But he's-
short and skinny.
He's probably like 160, 170.
Yeah.
You know, he's a small guy, whereas Jason Voorhees has been a towering man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's been played by several different people, but he's always at least 6'5", at least.
Yeah.
And he's got to be walking around at 250 or more, you know.
The other thing to know about this is they should have taken cues, and I might have the years wrong, but I think it's about the same time. Learn the same mistakes from Halloween. Halloween 3, Colossal Fear, because there was no Michael Myers. And then in Halloween 4, they were going to kind of do the same thing with Jamie Lloyd, with Daniel Harris. She kills her mom same way Jason does, and they were going, they were talking about having her become the next killer.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't work. Both of them epically failed. Well, not just the epic failed in theaters, but the fans hated both scenarios. Just stick with the main killer. You know, that's what you know.
Stay with the one you came
If
to the
it ain't
dance
broke,
with. Yeah.
don't fix it.
If it got you to the dance, stay with it.
Yeah. So this is the second film in the series in which Jason Voorhees is not the killer now. And so Ethel's death scene was originally more graphic. There was a prosthetic head made that showed the machete forcefully being destroying her face. Although in this case it would have been a meat cleaver. It was deemed too graphic by the MPAA, and the shot was removed.
Bummer.
Yeah, definitely bummer there. That would have been pretty cool. Last two. In the rest of the series and during most of part 5, the chant "ki ki ki ma 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 ma" can be heard when the murderer is nearby. This is symbolic of Jason telling Mrs. Voorhees to kill mom, kill. However, in the final scene, you can hear the chant "ki ki ki ta 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 ta," which is symbolic of Tommy's psyche telling him to kill Tommy, kill.
Ah.
And technically, the body count is 22. 3 from the dream sequences, 1 killed by Vic, 1 killed by Tommy, and 17 killed by Roy Burns. So there's your So that's all the facts I was able to dig up.
That's
and I
the
thought they were
facts,
pretty
Jack.
cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool facts. Brings us to Aaron's favorite part of the show, my favorite part of the show. I'm sure everybody's favorite part of the show.
Ooh.
It's Guess the Budget.
Time for Aaron to blow his wad with the budget game.
So, Aaron, here you go. Big time question for the $1 million. Not really. What is the budget of this movie?
1984 is when the movie was made, released in 1985. So we're talking 1985 money. This is the 5th installment. Paramount, it's a major motion picture studio. Pretty decent effects. I'm going to go $3 million.
Ooh. You blew your wad. But not by much.
okay.
Not by much.
All
Kind
right.
of close. This is, except for when you actually were right on the other week, this is your closest guess.
Okay.
Budget, $2,200,000.
2.2.
2.2.
All
Now-
right. So not horrible. Not horrible.
Not horrible. Would you like to take a guess at the opening weekend box office numbers?
Oh, sure. Okay. My guess is that it did really well because most of the time these movies do very well. I'm going to say opening weekend, 1980, $10 million.
Again, blew your wad, but not by much.
Huh.
Opening weekend, $8,032,883.
So they made their money.
Made their money.
Yeah.
Fourfold.
And then some.
Yeah. Now, last question. Would you like to take a guess at the overall gross of the film for that year?
Do I have an? Can I?
You don't have to.
I'll take it. Of course, I'm going to take it. Let's see. I'm guessing that weekend and that word spread that it wasn't that great. It's not even Jason Voorhees, blah, blah, blah. So probably the max gross that it made for the summer or whenever it was released in March, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 15 million.
Way short. Gross, $21,930,418
Not way
or I
short.
guess whenever the final budget numbers came in for this. So it made a lot of money for a $2 million budget. So it did its job. That brings us to 5-star reviews.
These special movies have a place in these special people's hearts. 5-star reviews.
All right, 5-star reviews from Amazon. Here we go. John Bottom. Wow! Wait until you see the Gonzagas on the chick that gets hedge clippers through her eyes.
She does have some
She's
Gonzagas.
got the biggest coconut you ever seen on a teenage nymphomaniac. Plus, check out the weird little punk blonde with the black tips. If she ever gets her head out from between those headphones, you could have a great conversation about the Sex Pistols. The hot babes counselor ain't bad either. 5-star.
This guy's just got a hard on for this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
Gonzagas and coconuts.
Yep.
What's his name? Jake Bottom?
Johnny Bottom.
Johnny Bottom. I like your style, Johnny Bottom.
Roger Martinez. I like this movie for real. When a copycat Jason Voorhees is on the prowl for revenge of this son that was axed by another, wanted to be Jason Voorhees in a way. 5 stars.
That's very poorly written.
It's awful. Oh God! But it just what? It's just like, all right, this one is just from a random person. This entire thing is in all bold, all caps, no punctuation except for exclamation points at the end.
So don't shout.
I'm not. I
Okay,
just wanted.
thank you.
This movie was something else. Tommy came out of the mental hospital and what he went through on just his first day at the camp. A woman named Ethel owned a farm next to the camp. She was feisty and nasty, but in a funny way. This movie is different, but still great. All Jason's movies are great. Jason's great. 5 stars.
Jason's great. Ethel's great. Tommy's great. 5 stars.
From a kid's review.
It just says a kid's
Yeah,
review?
just as a kid's review.
Okay.
One of the best, I think, wait, hold on, let me start because this thing's hard to read. One of the best, I think, the posing thing from part 9 is what's going on here. Here's evidence. How come he resits pain? He's an old man, Zero. Getting hit with tractor is bad. Kill, he breaks down a door. He's not strong enough. He's too old. And how'd he use all of Jason's death props? Very good sequel. Gore, nudity, suspense, violets, misspelled. One of the coolest, misspelled, characters in horror movie history. A real rebel. Too bad she died. 5 stars.
This is their second language.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're from like Thailand and they can hardly speak English.
Yeah, that is, you can't even understand.
Yeah.
That's gibberish.
Yeah. Kids review.
Al Maroney, aka Fat Humper.
All right, Fab Humber. You better have something to say about those Gonzagas.
Even though Mr. Voorhees is known to be a ruthless killer, killing every girl who flashes her knockers in many cruel ways, he is quite the sweetheart come Christmas. P.S. I like knockers. 5 stars.
Yeah!
I don't know why, but I love that review.
That's awesome. P.S. I love knockers.
And last one, another kids review. I swear I could turn that into its own segment, just kid reviews I find. Remember part 9, body switching? Well, how do you explain Tommy at the... Remember part 9, body switching? Well, how do you explain Tommy at the end? Also, and Jason in his dorm room. Yeah, just think about it. 5 stars. So that's our 5-star reviews.
I love a lot of boob
A lot
lovers.
of boob lovers.
We got some
for this
boob
one.
lovers out there. Kids and boob lovers.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
It is. It's so weird. All right, so that brings us to our recommendation. So bad it's good, so bad it's scary. Aaron, what's your final thoughts on this?
You know what? I'm actually going to say so bad it's good because it's not Jason Voorhees. It does have a little bit of a spin. Yeah, you know, there's parts you're going to have to suspend your disbelief and say, well, he's running and he's a master killer and all this stuff. But at the same time, it's not Jason. They tried to take it in a different direction. I'll kind of tip my cap to the effort. But at the end of the day, it didn't work, obviously, because they brought Jason Voorhees back right away. They had some interesting kills, great Gonzagas and knockers and coconuts on Miss Voorhees, which is her real name. And Reggie does an awesome flying shoulder tackle. So I'm going to go ahead and say So Bad It's Good.
So that's good. One thing I forgot to mention during the odds and ends is that this movie also features 3 different hockey masks. There's the one that the real Jason wears in the hallucination is the one from Part 4. It's white with like the red triangle above or between the eyes. Then there's the one that the
Roy
fake Jay,
wears,
which has
is
blue stripes
Yeah.
on the cheeks. And then, even though it's not in the movie, the original movie box poster for this has a completely different hockey mask, with no graphics on it and just a ton of air holes on it. It's a completely different mask. So there's 3 different hockey masks associated with this movie. Now I guess I get why they had the blue stripes for Roy, because it's not really Jason. They want to distinguish it once you figure it out. But I just thought that's weird.
I found it interesting because I noticed it was, at the very end when there's the Jason Voorhees standing at Tommy's bed, he's got the red mask, and it's like, this is me, motherfucker.
Yeah. But when the one Tommy pulls out, it's the blue one.
Yeah.
But that also, one other thing before I go into my final reviews, I got upset with the fact, yes, it's not Jason as we mentioned, and it sucks. It's a big old dick tease, and to me, kind of a middle finger. They're trying something new, but it didn't work out. And but one thing that irked me, like, even if they weren't going to have Jason as the killer, they would have somebody else. 2 things I think about. They still could have shown Roy as Jason doing the killing. We could have seen a lot more than just hands and feet the whole time.
They still could have shown
They could have shown
hockey mask.
Yeah, the hockey mask. They, still give the impression, because that's what he does. He shows him in the hockey mask. So why not just show him in the hockey mask earlier in the movie than what we finally do? I know maybe you're trying to get the reveal, but that makes no sense. The other point I want to make, I should have said this earlier, I apologize, is the amount of work that Roy has to do to dress up like Jason is insane. Because if at first you think it's just the hockey mask, okay, fine. But in the barn scene, when you finally see him, the aerial shots from Reggie's point of view, you know Jason is now bald, and he's got the bulbous, like, deformed head.
He's got a full-on, like, makeup effect going on.
So that means Roy had to get a complete prosthetic head, like latex mask, to put on his head, and then put the hockey mask on to do this, which is ridiculous. And where does he get that kind of makeup to do this?
Maybe he borrowed it from Tommy, because Tommy makes these masks.
Because Roy has a luscious head of hair.
Yeah, he looks like Bill
thick.
Dixie.
I mean, he's thick head of hair. So it's like, if you're going to make it not Jason, there's no way a non-Jason would have the Jason bulbously misshapen head, and it just, it angers me. Anyway, my final decision, I am going to say So Bad It's Good, because it's not that bad that's So Bad It's Scary. We've seen way worse. It's not like Bloody Mary or some of these other ones. But at the same time, I almost think Bloody Mary had a better plot than this one. This movie has 0 plot. I mean, it's just kill after kill after kill, basically, of a bunch of random people that do not matter. But it is kind of fun, just to watch the people get slaughtered, and some of the kills, there are some decent kills. I like the road flare. We both love the leather strap.
Right.
So, yeah,
even the hedge clippers are good.
Yeah, it's probably one of my least favorite of the Friday the 13th movies.
I would agree.
But it is So Bad It's Good. It's still worth the watch to just enjoy
just to see Ethel.
For you, I hated Ethel.
I loved Ethel.
But all right, so there you have. We both say So Bad It's Good. All right, so before we go out, close this out, remember, follow us on Facebook. Check out our website, horriblehorrorpodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter at So Bad It's Scary. We're on Podbean, and you can subscribe, like to us, give us 5 stars on iTunes. It's totally free. We do this for you. I think that's going to be it. We will be back with another episode in another week. In the meantime, watch more horror movies. Peace out, and goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.